So the role of foster care ambassador with Life Without Barriers is such a privilege. I'll just say that first because I absolutely love my role as foster care ambassador.
A care ambassador is usually an experienced carer who has the ability to talk to people in community, at events, conferences, advocating the great job that carers do and speaking to potential carers in the good, the bad and the ugly of what caring is, and be the face of carers for Life Without Barriers.
So we have some fantastic carer ambassadors across the country. Carer ambassadors come from all different types of carer types. They might be emergency carers, they might be full-time carers, they may have been a carer for a couple of years or maybe many decades, but they bring some experience and I guess passion and desire to share their story with other people.
I've been a carer ambassador for 5 years, yeah.
I'm proud to say I was the first national carer ambassador from 2018. Now I'm also New South Wales carer ambassador until we find some more faces, which is fantastic that more people are coming on board.
So understanding the need for foster carers in Tassie made me motivated and made me want to understand more about, well, what makes a good carer? How can we find people with that passion and with that commitment? How can Life Without Barriers find those sorts of carers? And yeah, the role of the ambassador is to try and find those people and bring them in to at least a conversation about what it's like to be a carer.
So for my part, I attend online information sessions and shared stories for the New South Wales team. I might speak at workshops and meetings that the carer support teams within Life Without Barriers are having, both state-based and nationwide. And I might do really, really fun things like go to air shows and have a stand and just talk to the general public about what it's like to be a carer. Have you ever considered being a carer? What the types of care are?
We know when we get out in community and we want to talk to people about what fostering is, they want to hear from people who are living it every day. So our carer ambassadors are wonderful, passionate people that are happy to do that and share that and help us to build that community.
It's great to talk to people who say to me, foster care, I've always thought about that. You know, my auntie used to foster, or, you know, our next door neighbours always seem to have, you know, kids sort of, you know, coming and going. We realised later on that they were foster carers. And it's so easy to strike up a conversation with somebody about the caring role and what it's meant to us and what it's meant to our children and how, yeah, it's just changed our family. So yeah, I love talking to people about being a carer, and I love it when people are really interested in becoming a carer themselves.
I talk about who I am, what I've been doing and what I hope to achieve, and that's more carers. I think the ones that I've always wanted to do that, or not necessarily that they've had a lived experience, but they say, oh, I remember an aunt of ours or a neighbour was a foster carer. I think the ones I'm drawn to are the ones who've had a positive experience. I like that sort of, it's kind of a natural progression for this person that I'm talking to. Oh yeah, I'd love to do it, you know, and I know I'm not ready now. And I love the fact that they're also aware that they're not ready right now. That's brilliant.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And people often ask for that as well. Like, is there someone I can talk to? And that's something that we offer, and we have that wonderful capacity to do that when people are even just thinking about it for something in the future, to be able to give them someone who can tell them what it's like at 1 o'clock in the morning, or what a typical day looks like, how they prepare for the first time they welcome a child into their home. I think the difference is palpable when you have a community stall or you have an event and there's a carer there. Often staff don't even get a look in, and that's how we want it to be. We want carers to be telling their story and to be sharing what the realities are, so people are really ready and engaged and coming on board knowing what to expect.
I also love to challenge the idea of people say, oh, I couldn't give them back. And yeah, I get that. The first year when my guys came to live with me, that was my worst nightmare. But then you know, it's not about us. And I have to think, well, if it's decided that it's in the best interest of that child to go back to their birth family, then it's not your role to decide that. All you do is provide a safe space for that child while they're in your care, and trust that where they go to next is going to be the best place for them. So I like to challenge that notion, oh, I couldn't possibly hand them back. You know, talk people through. There's plenty more children who will come into care who need your care, so you take a break and you move forward. I do enjoy talking to older adults about the possibilities and breaking that idea that you need to be young, because now my kids are teenagers and I've seen how important it is to keep the kids in school for as long as possible and nurture them and mentor them into adulthood, and I've seen how important that is. So being a constant and a positive role model. And we've got a huge population of people who are semi-retired, who who have a wealth of knowledge and care and could guide some young people and just have their patience and the ability to help them achieve their dreams, whether that's getting a job or going into more education. So yeah, I like to talk to people and break the idea that there's one particular type of foster care and tell them all the different ways that they can help.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've probably been at Life Without Barriers for almost as long as some of the longer serving staff members on our team. Yeah, look, have formed really good relationships with everyone at Life Without Barriers, and I think that continuity of relationship through the journey from the initial stages of home visits and home safety checks, if you can maintain those relationships, it's a great part of the journey. Very supportive. Yeah,
we always need more carer ambassadors, and I think for those areas across the country that already have embraced carer ambassadors, they see the massive benefits in so many ways, not just from getting out in community, but also being able to have a carer present at carer training, so people can have multiple perspectives around what the journey of becoming a carer looks like, both from a systemic perspective but also from what it looks like in reality for them when they're engaging in an assessment, when they're applying for their background checks, all those sort of things, what they can expect. We would love to have carer ambassadors as part of every team. I think lived experience is so valuable, and there's so much we can learn from that, not just in people sharing their stories, but being able to consult with our carers on anything we look to do to support carers to change systems. It would be silly for us to do that without their perspective.
One of the things that I am quite passionate about is that carers and carer ambassadors are considered part of the staff, part of the team, and not seen separately. I think as a carer ambassador, being a foster carer too and living it is really important. And people, when I say I'm carer ambassador but I'm also a foster carer, oh, okay, I can talk to you now because you do know what you get the impression that you do know what you're talking about. So yeah, I think that's very important.
So in most cases, our carer ambassadors are coming about through, I guess, an expressions of interest kind of process. Regions will hold information sessions and share information around what the role looks like, what we'd be asking people to bring to that, what kind of time commitment that might be, what they might be involved in, what their passions are, all those sort of things. So we talk about what the process is to become a carer ambassador, and typically it goes fairly similar to an employment process because carer ambassadors are a paid role with the organisation, which is quite different to being a carer, which is a volunteer role. So there are a few, I guess, system things that we do to make sure that it's done in a fair and equitable way. But first up is sharing information about the role and then seeing who might be interested and moving on from there.
You know, it can be a small hourly commitment on a week-by-week basis, but it could grow into something bigger, and obviously it would be important to stress that it can't interfere with your caring role. So you only do what you can, basically.
I would say we're probably pioneers in this space. We know that research tells us that people want to hear from carers, and we listen to that research. And that's why we made a really conscious decision to make sure that we have carers as part of our team in doing this work.